Friends. Always there when you need them. Sharing joy, easing pain. At your side through thick and thin. They understand you more than you understand yourself. The people in your life you could never thank enough, even if you started now and never stopped. That must be why it feels so great when you beat them to a pulp on the disc golf course. The fourth stop on the Canadian Disc Golf Tour brings us to friendly Manitoba for Disc Golf Manitoba Provincials. Yeah, it's friendly all right. After the trophy's given out. We are back for round 4 of the 2024 Canadian Disc Golf Tour. We are in sunny, beautiful, friendly Manitoba, in Winnipeg more specifically, for the Disc Golf Manitoba Provincials, sponsored by Disc Republic, powered by Prodigy. My name is Matt Lysak, and joining me in the booth, you know him, you love him, Andre Lauder.
What's up? Hey everyone, this is our first time doing commentary together, and we're so excited to bring you guys Manitoba Provincials. First round here, we got La Barriere Park, established in 2016. Bit of a shorter course, but very technically challenging. I mean, it's the number 2 course in Manitoba there, and there was a little bit of rain that started off the morning, but by the time the round came along, it cleared up a little bit. So
we're expecting some hot scores.
There are. Next up, we got Brian Freese, Winnipeg, Manitoba staple. He's sitting here with an 82 overall, known for his backhand and his power. And yeah, let's see if he can put that to good use today.
Former winner at this event, and somebody who has not won this event, but is definitely one of the favorites to take it for the first time here, Eric Giesbrecht from Winkler, Manitoba. It's a fun fact, Winkler is not actually named after the Fawns. Common misconception.
And he's sitting here in 942, so he's no slouch there in Manitoba, and he's shown up pretty good this year so far. And we got Bryce Kraushar. You saw him last year in coverage, and he hurt his knee, so he wasn't able to continue the tournament. But he's fun fact today is my knee is okay.
Good to hear. Allegedly, there may have been some misinformation going on there. You know, I'm not going to confirm or deny it. And Marshall Toews is going to round out our roster here. The big throwing farm boy. All 4 of these guys are super capable forehand and backhand and putting. So it's just something about the water in Manitoba that all these guys come out and they've got tremendous all-around skills. So you're going to see a variety of different shots here from everybody. And I'm expecting some fireworks out here because these guys really want to take this thing.
And you really do need all the shots at this course. It is a park course, but it's not as open as people like. This first hole is a little bit open on this left-hand side here. It gets tight on the trees in the right. There's OB on the left, and you got to watch out for that because it can come into play pretty quickly. If you can get around the trees clean or not end up into the right, you're gonna be looking at a birdie putt here.
Yeah, you can see the stakes marked by the orange flags here. It does sneak up on you, especially for anybody throwing backhand or doing what Brian does here and cooking over the forehand a little bit too much. He's going for all the distance, and he will find the OB. And I believe this is a drop zone, right, Andre?
Yes, I do believe it is. They might have changed it this year. We'll see where he takes it from. You did see there that the ground is a little bit longer in that long area, so if you go OB, there's not much of a chance of you skipping back in bounds.
Yeah.
See Bryce here taking this one the opposite way, a little bit too far to the right.
That one's so safe, it's very unsafe.
Marshall Toews, let's see if he can make the correction. Nice low burner here. Like he's playing for that trees and just getting out to the open. Great ground play.
How close
if you're
is
inbounds on this one, you do get that little bit of skip, and it really worked for him there.
Now, as we see Bryce get out of the woods here, or try to get out of the woods, I'm really excited for this, Andre, because this is the first time in the last 2 years of coverage that I was not present for the filming of this. I had a wedding that weekend, so I was really sad not to go spend some time with all of our Manitoba friends. But and we had some editing help on this one from Vicky Young. Look her up, Studio Vicky. She is a special effects wizard, and she is a fully capable video editor. Reach out to us if you ever want to get in touch with Vicky, for sure. But she was doing some camera work for us for the last couple of years, and she helped out with some editing. So for the first time in 2 years, great throw-in attempt there. I have no idea what's happening here, Andre. I don't know what happened in this tournament.
It's very exciting. It's a new place for you. I will say that there were quite a bit of mosquitoes on this round, especially with the rain early in the morning. We'll see if it affects people during their putts here.
I can guess 2 people that mosquitoes would be affecting out there, Andre. One of them is you. The other one is Vicky.
That is true. It's very hard to stay still when you got mosquitoes buzzing around you, biting you everywhere. You watch Marshall putting in the birdie, and looks like he's going to get the only birdie on the hole.
Good start for Marshall. He's won one of these before. Bryce has won one of these before. Brian has won a few of these before. He was kind of the undisputed king of Manitoba for a long time until I believe Marshall was the first one to take this provincial crown off of him, and Bryce the following year did as well. So a lot on the line here for these guys, mostly pride. They're all friends, but they're trying to beat each other's brains in out here on the disc golf course.
They sure are. And hole 2 here is looking a little bit different than last year's coverage. This is the normal typical play for the park. Instead of going straight through this gap, you now have to make it around this corner. And a lot of guys will not be following the drone. The drone is the safe play. If you are going for the basket in 2, a lot of people will try to get the eagle on this. They will go very high over top, much to scare Vicky, I think.
Interesting. Any idea why they made this change? Because last year we were going from out in the field straight down the tunnel. I thought it was pretty fun because it was, you really had to push that thing 350 feet straight down a rope.
And you can see Marshall taking that easy play. I think they just wanted to keep it a little bit normal to how it normally plays. So that's the only reason I can think of.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, we got our first over
Bryce,
the top.
First one.
And he clipped a branch there. I have a feeling that ended up inside, just based on that amount of branch he hit.
Brian, known for his power, also going over top. Not quite sure where they landed. Take a look at the Eric taking this one up the gut. He'll have a putt from there.
That was a really good shot.
Getting this one through all the trees. Looks like he will have a decent look at that one as well.
Looks like nobody really had the distance control. Oh, actually, Bryce pushed deep on the gap there. I really thought he'd be coming up shallow on this one.
And it's funny because I played a practice round with a lot of these guys, and they were going over top, and they did a lot. I'll say they did a lot better in the practice round than they did in this round. That's for sure.
Don't we all, Andre? Don't we all?
I guess the payoff is that, these guys are still having their fairly easy approaches. I guess the challenge is if you go too deep into the woods, it can be pretty tough getting out.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of 300-foot par 4s, especially at these bigger tournaments. So it's really, you can tell the emphasis is put on precision here. And Eric just not able to get it done on the green here. Bryce and Marshall are going to each take a stroke off of him. And yeah, we're starting to see the mosquitoes in play here as Brian's waiting for his turn to putt.
He sure is.
Okay, so Brian gets one back, but Marshall is starting 2 for 2. Good start for the big man.
There's Bryce putting that one just on the left side of chains, getting it to drop though.
No doubter. This is a no doubter. Hole 3, par 3, 291 feet. This one goes straight down a tunnel, and then the challenge is when does your disc turn left to catch the last third of the fairway here. You can see a lot of skip shots on this one. If you can keep it low and straight all the way through the gap, and then just as the green starts to appear on your left-hand side here, you want to be skipping hard over to the left, something really overstable. At least get that skip to be down the hillside here, so you got to putt somewhere in this open area on the bottom plateau here. Anything early is going to be trouble, and you're going to be looking at a potential bogey, but this is one where you can get strokes on the field if you're getting down to the green.
You can see even from the drone flight, it has grown in. The drone flight was from last year's coverage, but it's quite grown in here and makes it even tighter.
Yeah, it's not what anybody needed out here. This is one of the tightest holes probably on the entire course that you're going to see.
See if Brian can get one to go. A good angle on that.
Oh,
baby. And a great skip.
Oh, baby.
That's about as good as you could play that.
Yeah, I don't think you can draw it up any better than that. All right. Now the pressure is on Eric to repeat what he just saw. Once again, the distance is really not the problem, so it's just controlling your nerves. You're now 3 holes into Manitoba Provincials. Hopefully you get your breathing down.
Makes it out a little bit to the right, but it looks like he might have gone back. Yeah, there he goes. Bill has a good look for the next shot.
Yeah,
Fortunately catching that tree.
You can see the collecting water there on the ground. You guys must have just missed a big rainstorm, hey?
It was, there was a huge storm. I think all the amateurs were probably playing in the rain. They actually had to delay everything by a half hour, I think it was, because it was really coming down. And you know, if you live in Manitoba, you know that it can, when it rains, it really pours.
That might have been where that saying came from.
Yeah.
Eric is a little flustered after that.
Yeah, not catching a break.
All right.
If Bryce can put this in.
I expect Bryce to make those. That is well within Bryce's range.
Eric catching the top of the band. Hate to see it. It's early in a round. Hopefully he can shrug those off as well as Brian there, hitting cage.
Now, is this this was our first time seeing Eric Giesbrecht on coverage, I think, right?
I think so. Yeah, if you play in the Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, you should know who Eric is. He's usually on the leaderboard somewhere.
He definitely featured last year, maybe somewhat indirectly. There was a very exciting battle of the Erics between him and Eric Wiebe going down the stretch. I remember that, so we might have caught him sort of incidentally on some footage, but I'm glad we get to see a full highlight of him here. And I'm also glad that we got to see this Brian Freese drive again, because that is just masterful control of the disc, height, angle, and speed. Everything was perfect on that one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he couldn't capitalize getting the birdie on that one. But hopefully he can shrug that off as we take a look at our leaderboard for the first time today.
Holy
we
cow,
got the Jason.
Jason Tay in the lead after 7. Mr. Disc Republic. Nice to see, and Robbie Freese in the local treasure. That's a pretty good start for both of those guys.
We got Marshall Toews off to a hot start, -2, right behind those guys. We got Brad, Josh, Nick, right behind them, and Brian, Bryce, Eric, and Sterling. Rounding out our top 10.
A lot of familiar names, some new names. It's nice to get a good start on the first day of a big tournament. If you could get a couple of bogeys off the top, like I think we all know that it's not over for you, but there's just something about having all that expectation coming into a big round of a big event and having some success early.
Yeah, as we take a look at hole 4 here, it's a par 3. Only 239 feet, but it does play uphill. Can present a challenge. There's 2 lines. There's this forehand line, which I think you'll see most of these guys go for. One of the things you guys will notice is that Marshall here, he took his stance, and Brian here is as well as taking their stance beside the box. Most of these boxes, dirt boxes, so they are quite slippery right now. You see both those guys hitting trees on the left-hand side. If Brian can get through smooth, not quite. Is able to get up there, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's Eric.
Oh, that's the shot.
That's
is
exactly
perfect.
what you want to do. That's a way to rebound after missing a few putts early on. Look at Marshall here.
Now, making big putts is, to me, synonymous with the Winnipeg, the Manitoba experience. It's one of my favorite things about coming out here is everybody that you're going to see on coverage has the ability to make these 50, 60-foot putts at the drop of a hat. You never know what's going to happen on the green. Sometimes someone gets hot and you just see a performance that, goes down in the books as one of the most memorable ones of the year. So I'm curious to see which, I can almost guarantee you one of these guys is going to go off and have a good performance on the putting green here today.
Oh yeah, it's almost a guarantee at some point as we see Brian swatting away some mosquitoes as we got 2 birdies and 2 pars on this hole. Both guys that made it up top were able to get the birdie. Nice to see Eric get one. Bryce get one as well. So
yeah, pretty good textbook form there from Eric. I like to see it.
He really does have a nice clean stroke when he does putt, and normally he does hit those. So
yeah. Par 5 is a par 3. This is one of the harder par 3s on the course. 367 feet. It feels longer than that, though. I think that's why I said 375, because I feel like this plays longer than 367, Andre.
It certainly does. And it is a challenging hole because you really have to get it out, and you have to make sure you hit the Mandos as well. And you can get some good ground play on here as well.
Big thanks to PDGA Canada. You saw their name on the title cards off the top. They are doing a bunch to support Canadian disc golf. All your player fees in Canada stay in Canada and go towards Canadian initiatives. And speaking of initiatives, Bryce took the initiative to park that hole. Maybe not parked, but he's got a putt there for sure.
Yeah, he definitely got some distance as we watch Eric, unfortunately, kicking left off that tree, missing the Mando.
I really thought he'd be through the nervy part of this round now after he had a missed putt, couple of missed putts, got up back on board with the birdie, and that's a big miss because this is not the smallest double Mando in the world.
Marshall catching some branches as well, and Brian getting this one through with some great ground play as well. Looks like he might end up being a little bit short, but we'll see where that ends up.
He's just so good with those angles. Okay, we haven't seen this drop zone yet in play. Does he have a window? Okay, yeah, lots of room to go around. It's just the distance is the real punishment there, but really well played there from Eric.
Really well played. Excellent angle on the disc, managing the skip, and we'll see Marshall here playing the smart play. Gets that one to lay up and drop that in for a par.
Just get me off of here. Just get me out of here.
Bryce, threw that pretty far, quite a bit farther than the basket, but not able to capitalize. Brian can get his to drop, hitting cage again. That's a couple of those from Brian already early in this round.
Yeah, kind of frustrating start for both of those guys. That's a nice comebacker from Eric there. That was about all that he could do after that miss Mando off the top.
Take a look at Bryce, a gentleman.
Look at
marking
this.
a disc that didn't need to get marked.
Look at this camaraderie.
Brian getting his umbrella stuck on the rim of the basket.
How close was this putt, Andre?
So close. And Bryce from distance, he's so dangerous. He gets those more often than he misses. So
he's a basketball guy, and I feel like probably on the basketball court he was a shooting guard because he likes draining them from downtown. Anywhere he is where he can see the basket, he's gonna try and lob one in there.
Yeah, hole 6, where the drone just flew through. That's a Mando there, but then you kind of come and it funnels down into this little area here. Long grass on the left and right with tree danger. It just tends to eat discs up, but if you can get a good clean shot off the drive and land right in the middle, you're looking pretty good. And it's a par 4, so these guys should have a decent chance at. Oh, sorry, this is a par 3. 410 par 3.
Yeah, 410 feet. It does play fairly significantly downhill, but the real challenge on this is you got to hit a line, which means that you're trying to throw it straight through this double mando. But then the hole trails off downhill, meaning that your disc is going to have a lot more time to fade out, whether that's a backhand or a forehand. So it's really a challenge with a disc that goes 400 feet to have something that finishes straight. And so this takes a real special kind of shot here to get all the way down to the basket. This is like a 3 1/4 par to me.
I think that's why I thought it was a par 4 at the start.
Probably. For me and you, this is a par 4.
Easily a par 4 for me and you, yeah. Take a look at Eric, just getting past the Mando trees there. He is safe.
Is there a more fun place to play disc golf than Manitoba?
It's tough to beat. They got the courses, they got the fun people, the fun folk to play with. Take a look at Brian here trying to get to the basket. You just can't complain about disc golf in Manitoba right now. Plus, of course, you're not a big fan of mosquitoes, and after it rains.
Yeah, it's too bad because when we were down there last year, weather couldn't have been better. It spat on us just a little bit, but bug situation was ideal. So I think you guys just kind of got a little unlucky this year.
Yeah, it is a luck of the draw thing. You never know. Everywhere's got mosquitoes, so fortunately it was just a rough one this round, but these guys are handling it pretty well as we look at Eric getting that one to drop. What a shot.
Oh, I told you we were going to see some long range ones.
I looked like it was bar down.
Whew.
Marshall trying not to get outdone there. Fortunately, Brian just can't quite get the putter going.
They're all over it. And I think they're going to start going.
So too.
Yeah.
Brian can clean this up nicely, and he does.
So that's 3 bogeys and a par. Kind of about what I would expect to see on this hole. Like we said, it's the 3 is definitely a stretch. And speaking of stretch, oh baby,
It's the band.
sign me up for a weekend of this stuff.
Love to see it. And a shout out to the crowd. The scoreboard update for you guys. Jason Toews is still sitting up on top, -4. Sterling, 2 strokes back. Marshall, Brad, Josh, Robbie, all at -1. And then Bryce, Eric, Mike, and Colin at even.
We saw
Still plenty of disc golf to be played yet, but
yeah, we saw Brad Giesbrecht in last year's coverage as well. He acquitted himself pretty well. Also, kind of an all-around player, good backhand, good forehand. Nice to see him chasing the lead here. The bridge hole, the epic bridge hole. I love this hole. Hole 7, par 3, 262 feet. As the crow flies, pretty straightforward hole, but you do have this bridge over on your right-hand side. And for a lot of right-handed players, the natural hyzer shape would sort of lead you to throwing into the bridge girders. So you got to make a decision. You throwing it straight at it with one of your straight putters or mids, or do you go higher and spike a hyzer over top of the bridge? We saw some guys flirting with it last year, getting real close to those bridge supports. Curious to see how these guys attack this hole.
And that bridge and the water, even though they, with the way that these guys play the hole, they shouldn't come too much into play. It's just like a mental thing as we take a look at Eric just absolutely parking this one.
Well, that was a good ace run. Let's see if Bryce can follow with his own here.
An angle should have a good putt at that one as well.
Yeah.
Guys are making this hole look easy. Marshall can get close to 2. Little high.
Looks like he ended up in the long stuff.
Great.
This one played as the 4th easiest hole on the day. Kind of makes sense. It's a forgettable distance, and aside from the bridge on the right, there's not too much to contend with. But if you go left, really nice putt from Bryce there. If you go left, you can be behind a tree. You're in the long stuff. It might be messing with your putting stroke. So there is some danger to be had here, but this is one that these feature card guys should have on their list as a must birdie.
Yeah, if you're at the level that these guys are at, and you're not getting a birdie on this, when you are losing strokes to pretty much the whole field. So
a little bit of extra time on this one for Marshall. Well worth it.
Definitely. Even, you say these are must gets, and if you have a little bit of distance, you want to make sure you get them. So take the time that you need to make the putt. Get another look at Brian's shot here.
That was almost a rail slide up the bridge.
Sneaking it over the bridge. That one's about as close as we saw all weekend.
That is so good. Almost pulling off the manual like he did back in his old skating days. We got to see some video of Brian Freese doing some skateboarding. Not skating, not ice skating, skateboarding. And
I'm sure he's not a bad skater either.
I'm sure he's probably good at it. I think Brian's one of those guys that's just kind of good at any athletic pursuit that he takes up. But I had no idea he was that good at skateboarding.
We did a little feature on Brian last year as we take a look at hole 8 here. But if you want to get to know Brian, we have it up on our YouTube channel. It's a park profile on Brian Freese. Definitely worth a watch.
Mm-hmm. It looks like a couple of different gaps to take here. I think most of these guys are going to be taking the forehand gap. There is a backhand gap, but you got some later trees to deal with. To me, what Bryce is doing here, that's the play to get through here on this 308-foot hole. It is uphill, but it's
like I said before with the changing tee pads, and it kind of changes these angles a little bit. So I think the way that this tee pad is located, it definitely leans itself more towards that forehand and opens it up just a little bit more.
Or you can go forehand inside gap, which I don't think was the gap he was going for there.
I don't think so either. If Eric can make it out of here, this one nice and close.
Are you kidding me?
We all thought he had it. He thought he had it. Unfortunately, just drops out on the left-hand side.
You don't expect those am side ones to catch always, but I felt like he had more than enough chains to hold that disc into the basket.
You would think, and he's got the power that most of the time they will. The amount of power that he puts on those, but. Watch Eric dropping his par after a good recovery shot. Marshall swiping Bryce's arm out of the way, making sure he can get that in.
Is this Brian playing for some family member or what?
Who knows? He doesn't even know.
Is that just a photo he found on the course there? What was that?
Just a photo he found on the ground. And I think he keeps it as a keepsake now. It's a good luck charm. We'll take a look at hole 9. It's a par 3, 285 feet. Another interesting one is you kind of got to shoot it up this gap and miss these trees. There's a bunch of trees here, and you see the wind can come into play as well, because if you put the disc too high in the air, it can carry a little bit further than what you like. The challenge on this hole is the ground play, because if you do not land your disc where you want, you could slide down the hill on the left-hand side. It falls away pretty quickly.
Why don't we check in with some fifth card action here?
Here's Jonathan on hole 9. Long putt.
Ooh. Good run there.
Run. Look at Mike. Can he get this one to drop? Of course, we're talking about death putts here, so these can be pretty nervy. As Eric, the one go here gets the par to drop.
Eric Wiebe and Devin Coop are probably two of the names that we haven't seen necessarily on the leaderboard that we think would have a chance to get up here onto lead card or chase card. Those are both a couple of real good players here. No shade to Mike Evans and John Vandenberg, but Eric Wiebe has now spent the last couple of years being one of the better players in all of Canada, and Devin Coop had a good showing out here last year, so I think both of those guys have their sights set pretty high on this one. But that being said, Mike Evans is below par here after 9 holes on their side, so anything is possible.
We'll see how that plays out for the rest of the round. Take a look at Eric, almost making it through the gap, just catching those last few trees.
This one feels like it's longer than 285 feet too. I think did we play a whole round out here, Andre?
He did, and this one definitely felt longer than 285. Like I said, it plays uphill at the start, and while it does seem like the basket is a little bit further down the hill there, it's definitely playing uphill.
That was one of the best drives we've seen on this hole by Marshall there. And he got the skip and stayed up on the top of the hill there on the green. I mean, it does mean he's got a downhill putt to look at, but at least he's got a putt, which is more than the rest of these guys were able to pull off on the drive.
Eric here with his upshot. You got to watch your angle of the disc on these upshots as well, because it doesn't take much for that disc to hit the ground the wrong way and roll down the hill.
Yeah, these are real nervy upshots here. Really well executed by Bryce.
Playing that one about as perfect as you can.
Okay, big birdie putt. Yes,
nervy birdie putt from Marshall.
What a birdie. There were not a lot of birdies on this one, Andre. Do you want to guess how many?
I'm going to guess 2 because we saw 2. Oh,
pretty good guess.
Rough one from Brian there.
There were 3 birdies on the day on this one. Brad Gerbrand getting the other one, and we saw Devin and Marshall get theirs. This one averaged 0.17 strokes over par on the tougher side at this park course, just south of Winnipeg. So well done to those guys. That's stroke.
Take a look at
just getting the Freese. His last name is Freese. Yeah. That was the Freese frame, and that was a highlight birdie for Marshall. That's power at accuracy at distance and putting. That's the Marshall Toews story, and that is why he finds himself 1 back, tied with Brad Gerbrand, of your leader so far, Jason Tay, holding it down 4 down through 13 holes now. This is a real good show, and I haven't seen too much of Jason's game before, but I'm curious to see if he can hold on to this top spot and get himself into lead card going into the next round, because I want to see what he's doing out there to get these low scores.
It would be great to see him on coverage as well. I don't know much about his game either, so I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him continue this hot round that he's got going on.
Yeah.
Maybe seeing if we can get a few more names from feature card up on the leaderboard in the back 9.
Yeah. A lot of tough holes in the back 9. Looking forward to seeing how this one ends up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Hit a like, give us a comment, say hi. And, if you want to keep us on the road doing Canadian disc golf coverage, hit us up at patreon.com/parkpro. Every little bit helps.
Shout out to my daughter. She just graduated this year. Daddy loves you, baby girl.